Turned up at Luton Airport and it was Michael Jackson and I was with him for 10 days. My first ever celebrity job.
Have you had any other big names?
Bella Hadid, Kendall Jenner, Rita Ora, and crowd crushing and overzealous fans. Probably the biggest problem I ever had. I had a phone call from someone and they said, will you look after a gentleman coming into London on Monday? And I thought, I don't really want to do that. I've only got a month off and I'm in Edinburgh, so I'm not even in London at the moment. And I said, no. So I said, you sure? I said, yeah, because I'm in Edinburgh, I can't do it. So that was that, put the phone down. 25 minutes later, they rang me up again. He said, you sure I can't get you to come down and do this job, blah, blah, blah. So I said to my mate, I said, look, he's called me twice. And he said, go. He said, just go, because bearing in mind at that stage, I'd never worked in London before, because we'd gone back to Afghan times now. And I thought, I'll go and do it then. It's 10 days. I'll go and do it to sort of meet people and see what it's all about in the UK. So I got a flight, or we went out that night. Actually, I missed my flight in the morning. I had to get another one, which I just about made it in time. I got to Heathrow Airport, because I couldn't get down to Eastbourne to get my stuff in, so I had to buy everything brand new out of the packet. Shoes, shirt, you get the nice creases down the... I had all that, trying to pull it tight so you can't really see them. I had all that going on. Turned up at Luton Airport, got given a document, and there was 5 of us there. People I'd never met before, but security guys. And it was Michael Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah, Michael Jackson was flying in to go to the World Music Awards, and I was with him for 10 days.
And was that your first?
That was my first ever London job, my first ever celebrity job as well. Yeah, I know.
Your first celebrity job is Michael Jackson.
It was Michael Jackson. I didn't even know it was. I was just told it as a businessman. No one said who it was because the visit at the time was a little bit hush-hush. They didn't want to cause, because I don't think at the time, it's November 2006 this was, so I think at the time he hadn't been to the UK for quite a number of years, so it's quite a big thing that he was coming. So I did that.
What specifically did you do around Michael?
So there was 5 of us, plus 1 American bodyguard. We just literally, I was with him anytime he moved anywhere, I was with him.
Right.
So we stayed in Bayswater in West London. We didn't do that. It's hard to someone like that to do too much because the fan base and the people that follow us around all the time. It makes it very, very difficult. But we did a few things. Obviously, we did the World Music Awards. We went to Topshop at midnight one night on Oxford Street and opened that up so we could get an outfit.
So they opened the whole shop from midnight?
Just for him at midnight.
Just to get an outfit?
Yeah.
I love that.
It's the safest way to do it, yeah.
Right, I see. So did you organise that because of the time?
Yeah, because obviously you wouldn't be able to do it with people in there, it'd be impossible. No. And it's just easier for us, and probably a nicer experience for him if he actually wants to choose something to wear. Yeah. Guinness Book of Records, and I can't remember what he got an award for, but he did. Couple of meals, and we went to Mary Poppins with the children to watch the show, Mary Poppins show, which was interesting because when we went in to the show, and he was with us, I had one of the children, I was carrying one of the children because they were very young then, and I remember sitting down, and we went in the dark, the show had already started and we sat down, and I remember sitting down thinking, well, this is all right, but no one noticed us. No one knew Michael Jackson was sat right in the middle of the show. But I thought, what happens in the interval? We're going to have to get out of here in the dark as well, otherwise we're going to be exposed quite quickly. Yeah. And we went to the interval and the lights come on, we're still sitting there. Right. All the actors on the stage froze. I didn't really know what to do because they couldn't believe who was sitting in the in the audience. Yeah. Luckily it wasn't a full auditorium, and we just very quickly had to slip out the back. And unfortunately, obviously, we couldn't go back in again after to watch the second half. Yeah. So that was kind of experience for them for that. And that's how busy the job was all the time. Yeah. You always had to have a safe place for them to go, and always had to really want to go somewhere because the amount of time and effort it took into doing that safely. You'd never just go, I'll just pop in the shop quickly, or I'm just going to go and, we wouldn't do anything unnecessarily. No. So it was a good job, it was a busy job all the way through, not a lot of sleep, and you're always ready to go sort of thing. But
did you ever talk to him?
Yeah, vaguely, not massively, I'll be honest, because there's a lot of people around him as well. Of course. You think you've got 5 or 6 security, and you've got, all his aides and PAs and all, we have bits and pieces. So
is there like a big entourage with him everywhere?
Relatively big, yeah. I think we had 5 cars, I think, just with us. But then you had about 6 or 7 black cabs, what fans had hired and put on the meter for the day. so they can just jump in and follow us anywhere they want.
So it sounds like their organisational planning is as good as yours.
Yeah, well, some of them were paying fortunes to stay in this hotel just so they could be in the lobby when he come down, because we wasn't letting non-hotel guests in while his stay was there. But anyone who's paid for a room, obviously you can't not let them in there. So they were paying fortunes for suites and whatever they could get their hands on, just so they could sit in the lobby when he comes down. And these fans would fly all around the world, trying to get hold of him and following him. And so I don't know where they're getting the money from, because they're all quite young and it cost a fortune. But yeah, and then on top of that, you've got all the paparazzi, all the motorbikes and all the other stuff that follows you around.
And would they hound Michael?
Yeah, I mean, they were quite tough, and there was a lot of them back then. The other thing that was interesting is there wasn't any Instagram or social media. So I remember vaguely, I think we was on MTV, I think it was on BBC News at 10 or something like that. Sun newspaper, a couple of the newspapers, and I think that was about it for coverage. I've probably got 5 or 6 photographs of me with Michael Jackson. With all the other people I've been with, there's a ton. You go and get images and Shutterstock and all that. There's tons and tons and tons of it. But so we was back in the time where the social media and stuff wasn't a thing, which helped.
So in addition to Michael Jackson, have you had any other big name?
Bella Hadid, I did 2-3 years in London.
Yeah.
When she used to do London visits. A little bit of her sister, not a lot, Gigi. Yeah. Kendall Jenner.
Yeah.
Rita Ora, a little bit in Europe with Rita as well.
Yeah.
Halsey, who's out in LA, quite a lot in Europe with her.
And how did you land these jobs? Is it like when you've been with Michael, you get recommended, or is this all just luck? How do you land the jobs?
It's a little bit of luck. So the Michael Jackson job didn't really do me any favours, to be honest, because I went back to Afghanistan straight after, and then I was off the scene for quite a couple of years again because I was still working out of there. So.
Why didn't you carry on doing it and sort of leverage that? Yeah,
well, I didn't really think of it at the time because I was contracted to go back, and I'd only been out there 1 or 2 rotations before I did that job. So I still wanted to experience out there and do the job out there, really.
Right.
So I didn't really have much want to go back to the UK at that particular time to sort of pursue that. It's not. I never really appreciated that job. Well, I remember when I saw the document, I thought, oh, it's Michael Jackson. Oh, well, that's what he looks like, and it's just a job, really. It wasn't until much later on, obviously, he's not around anymore, and people always say about it. I think, do you know what? It's not for a security guy. That's not a bad one to look after. But at the time, I didn't really appreciate it. But no, I started with. I think it was Kendall Jenner was probably one of the first ones.
Yeah. What year was this, or years?
So it was quite a bit on. It would have been something like 2015.
Right. So, I mean, they were huge at that point.
Yeah, 15, 16, something like that.
How did the size of that job compare with the size of the Michael Jackson job?
It wasn't as big, but I don't think anyone's going to be as big as what Michael Jackson had. But everyone I've looked after in my whole career, other than Michael Jackson, I've worked on my own.
Oh.
So, not including obviously Middle East and all that stuff, but the stuff in London. Right. So,
when you say work on your own, there's just you looking after them?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, it's obviously a lot more responsibility.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to do, and things do have to be managed differently because you're on your own.
Does that mean you have more say in where they go? Will they listen to you more?
Yeah. So the reason why I got on with so many people, I think, is because I was always very liberal on where we went. I never, if I honestly thought we could do it and we could do it safely, we would go, and that'd be the end of it.
Yeah.
There's some guys, and that's up to them how they do it, but they're slightly more hard line.
Right.
So we used to go anywhere, really. The problem with it is if you're, there's 1 or 2 places I suggest we don't go.
Like?
Winter Wonderland. On my own with an A-list, super A-list celebrity, and you go in somewhere like Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park.
What, as in open?
Yeah. So 500 or however many thousands you got in there.
Right.
Even if we go in covered up with a hood up, because they want to go on a few rides.
Yeah.
And maybe buy a bit of candy floss and do whatever you do in these things, right? That's fine, but I've always got the added worry of we could probably do that and might get away with it. But if we don't, and we're in the middle of it all, and the hood drops or someone spots. As soon as one person spots them, that's it. It's all over.
Oh, as in everybody?
Everybody, yeah, because everybody, you know what the public are like, and we all do it. If you walk through a shopping centre looking up at the ceiling like that, you look down, you see how many people are looking up at the ceiling.
Right.
And it's the same effect as that. And now I'm stuck in the middle of somewhere like that on my own. I can't get a car to her because it's too close. Too far away. Because that's one of the things I always used to do with celebrities, keep the car as close as possible at all times. Because you always got a safer place to get to. You knew it was pretty, as a sterile area you can get to. But somewhere
what
like
does sterile area mean? Sorry.
Just clean, uninterrupted. It's all our stuff, all our place. Yeah. Secure, probably a better way of putting it.
Yeah.
But somewhere like Winter Wonderland, or even a stadium, something like that, you're very much stuck in it.
Yeah.
Now, when you've got 4 or 5 people with you, that's fine. It's not a big deal. But when you're on your own, there's only so much. It doesn't matter how big you are. There's only so much you can do. And crowd crushing and overzealous fans is probably the biggest problem I ever had as a bodyguard in Europe or UK. Obviously, overseas it's different. We carried firearms, but in the UK, I never really had. I didn't have to sort of spring into action as such, really. No. Not really. I mean, a lot of I used to just talking. I used to just talk.
Talk to other people
yeah,
when
talk to people, yeah.
How?
It just depends what I wanted to do. Well, if I saw something I didn't like, I'd normally move the person I was looking after rather than trying to intervene with if someone doing something wrong. I'd just move them away, and quite often you'd be 2 or 3 people deep away from what you thought was a problem anyway, and it's not really a problem anymore. So you don't need to sort of be pushing and shoving. There are times you might have to push and shove a little bit if it starts getting too busy and it's a little bit dangerous. But generally, I used to just, if people said, "Can I have a photo?" I'd just say, "Look, you can't. I thought, today you can't. I'm sorry, but maybe later." I wouldn't just go no. Yeah. I'll just try and appease everyone, and that always worked for me. I think when people see that you're a sensible person, they tend to listen a little bit more.
Has any one of your A-list clients completely ignored an important request you made of them? Or been very difficult to?
Once.
Who and how and what?
It's all over the internet, so I'll tell you anyway. So I was looking after Bella at one stage.
Bella Hadid.
Yeah. And I think there's a Free Palestine march.
Right.
On Grosvenor Square in London, and she just wanted to get out and be sort of part of it for a little bit. And obviously at the time we'd just come from another event. We was in a Rolls Royce. She was in a ball gown, and we weren't protest ready.
Yeah, we weren't protest ready.
I was in a suit,
I love that. Military speak. We weren't protest ready.
The driver was all hat on and the rest of it. It was a Rolls Royce, whatever it was, Phantom or I don't know. It's a big thing. And I just thought, she's in a ball gown, just heels. And I said, I'm on my own. You can't get you out into this. And she's this went backwards and forwards in the car.
So she's quite headstrong, was she?
On that respect, yeah. Normally, 9 times out of 10, she's very good. I used to love working with Bella because she was great. It's very rare where I wouldn't say she couldn't do something anyway. But on the times I said it's probably not a good idea, she'd listen and we wouldn't do it. But on that particular time, she just really wanted to get involved in it. I know she's got some connection with it. I'm not totally au fait about it or works with her and that, but I know there's some connection with it. I think possibly her father maybe or her family background. But so she wanted to do it, and it went backwards and forwards in the car. And I remember looking forward, thinking, I've said no enough times now, and doesn't normally do this. I was thinking, well, very quickly, and if we're going to do it, in my head, I was thinking, if we're going to do it, what's the best way to do it? And anything like that for me is dip in, dip out. Sort of you're there, people suddenly, oh, look, it's Bella, and then no more than a minute later, you're gone again, but you've done what you need to do. So I said, look, I will do it, but I want hold of you all the time.
You literally were physically holding her?
Yeah, because as soon as you get 1 or 2 people in, that's it. In a protest, you're talking hundreds of people in one space. You see it in films and stuff where people are trying to get hold of people and their hands interlock, and all of a sudden, it's a bit. It is like that in a protest.
Right.
So I didn't want to let go of her because I wouldn't be able to pull her back or push her to a car. You can get disoriented. I've worked in a lot of protests in the past with ITV reporters and BBC and people like that, looking after them when they've been like a G20 summit and things like that. So I know how quickly these things can escalate, get out of control. You get disorientated quite quickly as well when you're in crowds. Bearing in mind she's not from here anyway, she probably don't know where she is anyway. So I didn't want to lose her, You know, I didn't want to not have physical contact with her. So I said, look, we'll get out, but we're going to do it. I'm going to keep hold of you, not too rigorously, but you know, some contact somewhere.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get back in the car, and that's it. And she went, okay. So I thought, right. So we've gone from not wanting to do it at all to not just getting out and doing it. We've kind of got in the bit, you know, the bit in the middle. And as soon as we got out, we went in. No one really noticed for about 30 seconds. Then they did. I had hold of her the whole time. And then I just said to a couple of the police, because there's a lot of police following the protest, to just do us a favour and and they could see where it was, so they were quite happy to help.
Yeah.
And then literally no more than 2 minutes, I think, maximum, which seems like quite a long time. I said, right, we're going now. And she just went, right, because she'd done what she wanted to do. We got back in the car. And the other thing you've got to bear in mind as well is, you know, rich and famous doesn't always bode well with certain people, you know, and who do you think you are turning up in a Rolls Royce to my protest? In
a ball gown.
Right, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because they don't know where we just come from.
No.
So you have to bear in mind that people could turn on you just because of, you know, other things like that.
Yeah.
So that was all a concern, other than just getting trampled on or something happening that shouldn't, and I'm on my own. But that was the best I could manage that. If I really had the choice, would I have done it? No chance. Never would have got out of the car. No. But at the end of the day, what do I do? You can't keep someone in a car. You can't lock them in.
No.
You know, and if they get out, and because that's where we was getting to with it, I felt like I had a choice of agreeing with it, or she was just going to get out anyway and have no one with her. Do you know what I mean? So I just had to very quickly put together a plan in my head, which was going to be the safest and quickest way to do it on my own. And that's what we did, and it worked fine.
Yeah.
It was all over the press, and obviously, as you can imagine, but it worked fine. But yeah, I mean, that's the only time. The rest of the times, particularly in the Middle East and that, if you say it's not a good idea to go there, you won't go there.
Right.
Because, you know, death's obviously the knocking. But yeah, that's probably about the only time, I think. And even then, I managed to manage it to just about doable experience.
Hey, quick, before you go, if you want to watch the full, raw, uncut version of this episode in detail, no holds barred, you can watch it here. But before you go, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on.